Let's start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavato Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Panchadasi, third chapter, Panchakosha Viveka Prakaranam. 43 verses in this chapter are used to describe our real nature. We have ignorance about who we are. All of us, since birth till date, we do not know our real nature. Ask any layman, he will say, I am this body, my name is so-and-so, I was born on so-and-so date. If you analyze this statement, he is talking about his body. That's all. So is this body me is the big question. In this chapter, Vidyaranya takes the help of Taittiriya Upanishad, which does a very systematic analysis of not only the body, but it also does inquiry into the prana, the breathing process. It also inquires into our emotions. It inquires into our thoughts. And then finally, it inquires into the happiness which we experience in the world. That is how Taittiriya Upanishad analyzes, I am not any of these 5 things which I have just now said. But beyond this, a very big mystery is there. Because we are going into an invisible realm. The world is seen by me. The world, I can hear some things in the world. I can touch, I can feel. Therefore, it appears to be real. The scriptures tell us that what you see or experience is the world. Nothing beyond that, but it is not you. The scriptures tell us that I am the experiencer, consciousness. That is how the scriptures tell me, and then they want me to realize this aspect of mind. So if you try to analyze your nature as the body, as the prana, as the emotions, as the thoughts which you have, as the happiness which you experience in this world, you are in the wrong direction. This is an external path because you're looking at yourself as the subject and everything else as the object. Veda helps us to take our attention away from the world to something which the Veda reveals. And that is what is termed in the Veda as Brahman or Satyam or Chaitanya, consciousness or limitlessness, ananta. Now, these are the words which the Veda uses not to make us look for an object called as the self. We must be very clear. The direction of the thought is not external, it is internal. And when we do this, and the way that teaches us, you see, it is not that they just give a definition and then they stop with it. The way that teaches us how we can inquire into our real nature, because it is not something which is obvious. So in this chapter, as I said, the definition of who we are is given as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. This is beyond the 5 koshas. Verse number 1 to 12 describe the 5 koshas. And then Vidyaranya said that each of these kosha is not me, because they are generally changing in nature, vikaritvam. And the Upanishads say very clearly that what is changeless is your real nature. So that is one clue we get when we try to search our real nature. So what is the clue? The clue is I have to look at something which is not changing in me. Each one of you have to do this analysis yourself. The purpose of Panchadasi is apply the teaching to yourself. Because when you apply the teaching, you will get into the right methodology to know who you are. And knowing who you are, the Upanishads say, you will be away or you will get rid of all your sorrows. Number 1. Number 2, you will attain absolute happiness, not relative happiness, but absolute happiness. These are the 2 goals. When we go for the search, the teacher says, if you want this in life, come, I will teach you. And then Vidyaranya, from verse number 13 to 28, 13 to 28, 17 verses, he takes to understand the first aspect of that reality, which is called as Jnanam, chaitanya, experiencer. 3 words are there, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. First, he takes Jnanam in 17 verses, 16 verses. Now, after that, he takes from 29 to 34, he takes Sat, Satyam. That is what we are going to enter today. And then he devotes 2 verses for Ananta. So if somebody asks you, what did you learn from chapter 3 of Panchadasi? You should be very clear. I learned in Panchadasi, number 1, all the 5 koshas from verse number 1 to 12. The second thing I learned was that my nature is chaitanyam, consciousness, from verse number 13 to 28, 16 verses. Then the third thing I understood from third chapter is my nature is pure existence. The fourth thing I learned was my absolute nature is limitlessness. I don't have any limit of the body. I am all, I am not limited to this body alone. Because consciousness, the moment you say it, it can never be limited, because consciousness is awareness. So that is the fourth thing which I learned. And the last thing is, why do I, if that is the reality, why do I feel I am limited? That is explained from 37 to 43. Verse number 37 to 40. So 5 things. You have to be very clear. This is Panchadasi chapter 3 containing 5 things. Number 1, 5 koshas from verse 1 to 12. Number 2, chaitanyam, consciousness, awareness. What is this consciousness? From verses 13 to 28. The third subject is what is pure existence without this body and without the mind and without the world. Existence by in its absolute nature. That is the third topic. The fourth topic is what is limitlessness? 35 and 36, 2 verses. And the last is Maya. Why do I experience limitlessness? Why do I experience limitedness instead of limitlessness? I feel that I'm dying. I feel I was born. I feel a very small knowledge in me. I can't do so many things. Why? Why this? If you say that my nature is always immortal, why do I experience this mortality? That is what is explained in the last section, the 5th section. Now, if that is understood, today I'm going to give it to you in 5 minutes or 8 minutes. All we have learned in 16 verses from 13 to 28. Because we are going to enter, we have finished this topic, but this is a summary. Verse number 13 talks about the nature of consciousness. All these 16 verses are about consciousness, awareness, chaitanya. So verse number 13 says that consciousness is not an experienced object. It is always the subject. And the subject is of the nature of consciousness. It is experienced by itself. There is no experience of something at all. That is the first thing with Vidyaranya teaches. It is nothing, it is not like an object which is known. Whenever we refer to 2 things, in the last meditation session last week, I introduced to you 2 types of knowledges. Very important fact to understand our real nature. Today I will be doing the second part of that meditation. Vritti Jnanam and Swarupa Jnanam. Vritti Jnanam means whenever my mind is awake, I get knowledge. And that is in the form of, I know something, I know the red color of the flower, I know the smell of the flower. Because they're all coming into my mind as perceptions, vritti. This is called as vritti jnana. But there is another jnana, which is called as swarupa jnana. And that is a jnanam which is, I always am. I am. Pure I am. Which is my real nature. I'm sure all of you can understand these 2 knowledges. You have to think a little bit more. Whenever I'm awake, I am with this vritti jnana. When I go to sleep, the vrittis are gone. I don't know anything. Ignorance is there. So knowledge of the world in waking and absence of the world in sleep, both are knowledges. But what illumines both of them is called as Swarupa Jnanam. That is in verse 13. Verse 14 says that objects can share their attributes with something else in the world. Suppose you have a sweet sugar. You can put 1 spoon of sugar into a milk and make the milk sweet. This is what we can say is how the attributes are interchangeable from one object to another object. But in the case of consciousness, it is of a higher order of reality. You cannot make that consciousness into mixing with something in this Vyavaharika world. Because there are 2 levels, like waker and dreamer, consciousness and waker, consciousness and dreamer, consciousness and sleeper. There are 2 different levels. That is said in 14th. 15th verse says that the natural flavor of this consciousness is awareness. Pure awareness. There is nothing inside that awareness. It is only all alone is Kaivalya. See how Jnanam, that chaitanya, is being described in so many different ways so that our mind can travel. The 16th verse says, I am Swayam Jyoti, self-evident. And this is very well described in all the Shruti statements like Chandogya Upanishad, Brihadaneka Upanishad. All this Upanishad, they say that before creation, before Srishti, the self was shining and it knew itself as a sentient entity. Very important point. This is the Swayam Jyoti aspect, self-evident aspect. So even if, for example, we all say, I went to sleep and I experienced nothing. But in that nothing, there is consciousness. And that pure, that is what is called as pure. Pure means without anything else. 17th verse says, I am consciousness by which the whole universe is known. That means there is no other light for the sun to be seen, for the stars to be seen, for the fire to be seen. It is the light of consciousness which makes the whole world evident. See how beautifully all this, one by one, if I'm able to meditate, you will arrive at what is consciousness. 18th verse, it is beyond the known and the unknowable, because known and unknown are aspects of the mind. Vritti jnana. What is consciousness? Sarupa jnana. See how, if you remember these 2 things, Vritti jnanam and Sarupa jnanam, which is beautifully explained in Taittiriya Upanishad. That is why I brought that topic inside this Panchakosha discussions. Because if you know that basic, which Shankaracharya explains in that Taittiriya Upanishad in his Bhashya, if you know that aspect here in Panchadasi, all these 16 verses becomes very evident, very clear, and it all makes sense. The 19th verse talks about consciousness being evident in all the experiences which we have. There is no experience which we have without consciousness, whether it is waking state, whether it is the dream state, whether it is the sleep state. Then the 20th verse says, you can never say, I don't know consciousness, because that is the substratum on which the sentence, I don't know, comes about. Without that substratum consciousness, you can never say, I don't know. 21st verse tells us a methodology of how to understand this consciousness in the waking state itself. In the waking state, I'm experiencing everything. What Vidyaranya says is remove all the objects. You're hearing a sound, remove the sound. You're feeling a touch, remove the touch. You're seeing some form, remove the form. You're smelling something, remove the smell. So what will happen? From the experience, I remove the objects. Experience minus the objects is awareness. Objects are nothing, but it is only a name and form, and it originates in my tongue. Objects in the world. This is a proof given in Chandogya Upanishad in the 6th chapter. Vacharambanam vikaro namadeyam. 22nd verse says the 5 koshas. He brings our discussion back to the 5 koshas which we ended in the 12th mantra. He says that all the 5 koshas are objects of consciousness. I am the witness of all the 5 koshas. I am a witness of the body. Isn't there something by which I can say I know the body? Yes, that is what is called as consciousness. I'm a witness of my pranas. I'm a witness of my mind. My mind can have hundreds of thoughts, but witness is only one. Thinking. I am a witness to the thinker. Thinker is with reference to the thought. But the Sakshi can remain without the thought. Similarly, happiness. Happiness is all temporary, which we enjoy in the world. That happiness is also an object for the consciousness. That is said in the 22nd mantra. Then in the 23rd, this self, he says, Vidyaranya, it exists. Because there are some people who say the self doesn't exist at all. But in 23rd mantra, he says, yes, the self is existing. And then in the 24th mantra, he says, suppose you say self is not there, but because of delusion. Then what happens? He says, first of all, you cannot say that. Because to say that, you have to be existent. That is what he says in the 25th mantra. He says, Brahman is non-existent. Suppose you say it is not there. There is no consciousness in the world. Suppose you say there is no consciousness. That means you are trying to say, I don't exist myself. I don't exist. That is what he tries to give an argument in the 25th mantra. Then he goes a little bit easier and says, the 26th mantra, the self is neither this or that. That means it is neither an object which is this or that. This means it is nearer to me, proximate to me, which is called as this. And that means which is away from me, paroksha. This means pratyaksham. It is before my eyes, before my before my ears. So whatever is this is not the self. Whatever is that is not the self. What is the self? I am the self. You should only say I am the self. That's all. This is the way to understand I am consciousness. I am the chaitanya. Do not objectify it. Don't say consciousness exists. Then you are making it paroksha, distant, away from you. That is not the right way to understand consciousness. Then he says, what exists as this or that? It is the objects. Objects exist as this object or that object. And this object or that object is always with attributes, properties, features, aspects. The 28th mantra, which we saw last time, it says the self is always the subject and it is always self-revealing. Self is always existent, it is always consciousness, it is always of the nature of limitlessness, always. So this was in short our running commentary of 16 verses on the Jnanam aspect. So with this, you would have understood what is Chaitanyam, how can I identify Chaitanyam, how it is Chaitanyam is not a Paroksha Vishaya, a distant object. It is not a Pratyaksha Vishaya, which is before my senses, but it is Aparoksha Jnanam. Aparoksha Jnana means I am that consciousness. Very beautiful section, these 16 verses. The way Vidyaranya explains all the 16 verses, if you're able to put them in your mind, think about it point by point, you will arrive at your nature like an apple in your hand. Very clear. I have no doubt about my Swarupam, which is pure consciousness, in which there is nothing else except itself. Now we are going to see the Sat aspect. There are from verse number 29 onwards to 34, we are going to analyze Sat, pure existence. We have seen pure consciousness without the objects. Now we are going to see pure existence from verse number 29. Let's enter this.
Satyatvam Badarahityam Jagaddaika Sakshinaha Badah Kim Sakshiko Bruhi Badah Kim Sakshiko Bruhi Natva Sakshika Ishyate.
So this verse starts the discussion about Sat, pure existence. Pure existence means, first let me explain to you what is attributed existence. Suppose I say the table is, it is attributed existence, existence plus the object. The flower is, the man is, the lady is, the birds are. All these are all with objects. But that is existence plus name and form. Here what we are trying to see is, what is that which is represented by the is. Everything we say is. Table is, chair is, mic is, mobile is, all this we say is. The isness does not belong to the object, the isness belongs to the subject. Very important point. This is how you should analyze. And if you use the intellect to analyze these things clearly as per the scriptural logic, you will understand Veda much better. So always don't try to get confused with your own type of intellectual logic which you might have, but use the scriptural logic. And scriptural logic you'll understand when we go through these verses. We're going to do 7 verses for Sat. Today we'll do maybe one or two. Then we'll continue the balance. Satyatvam bhada rahitam. This is the crux of this whole verse. What is meaning of bhada? Bhada means you can negate it. Anything can be negated, but satyatvam, sat cannot be negated. Satyatvam bhada rahitam jagat bhadaika sakshinaha. The world can be negated with the help of sakshi. But can the sakshi be negated? Bhada kim sakshi ko bruhi natva sakshi sakshika ishyate. The destruction of the existence can never be thought about, postulated, can never be even contemplated in the mind, because the contemplator is the existence. Suppose you say Sat is not there, who will prove that Sat is not there? Because the subject is the Sat. Existence is something which can never be negated. It is always there. Therefore, you have corollary in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, neti, 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 neti. By neti, neti, what you do? You remove all things and then you arrive at Sat. That is how Vidyaranya also builds up the topic. So Satyam, by definition, is Bhada Rahitam and Vikara Rahitam. Vikara means change. Everything in the world is changing. I see this tree today, the tree may not be there tomorrow. It may be blown away. And then I'll see an empty space there. I see a house, the building can be collapsed. So many things are there. But then can you say that Sat is like that? Existence is like that? No, because unless I am there as Sat, I will not be able to witness any other change. The Adhishtanam, the substratum for the change, is Sat. Witness of the perishable world. What cannot be negated, what can be negated is the past can be negated. Because right now it is not there. The present can also be negated after some time in future. The future can be negated. These are all time, related to time. Time is what? It is a relative substance. Time is not absolute. What is absolute is only Satyajnanam Ananta. There is only one thing in the universe which is absolute. Absolute what? Means what? Two things. It never perishes and it can never be negated. It is the witness of the perishable world. Sakshi. When you negate the world, why do we say Sakshi? Because this world which we experience can be negated in sleep. Or this world is not there after death of the body. Objective world vanishes in sleep, in swoon, and in samadhi. Yogis, they sit in samadhi. For them, there is no world. That's why they are able to do meditation and sit down, close their eyes for 3 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. Because there are no thoughts in their mind. When there are no thoughts, there is no world. So what we say is, anything which can be negated is not my nature. Death belongs to the sthula sharira of 5 elements. It is not the death of the self. Self is eternal. Self is Atman. The witness consciousness, the pure existence, exists in three states. Either in manifest, the three states can exist in manifest or unmanifest form, because that is what is called as prakriti, matter. The five elements have got two forms in which they exist. They exist in the manifest form for us in the waking state. They exist in the unmanifest form in our sleep state. Both are experienced by us. Prakriti is two types. Objects are of two types: seen, unseen. Seen during waking, unseen during sleep. But unseen doesn't mean they are not there. It means they are potentially there. That's all. But what is the seer? That seer is consciousness. That what is the substratum of both the known and the unknown, manifest and unmanifest? That is what is called as pure existence. So two ways to look at Satyam. One is absence. It is not there. World is not there, we can say. But Sat is not there, we cannot say. Because in that absence, there is presence of Satyam. The second way is Satyam is something which doesn't have any modification. Vikara. What has modification? The mind has got modification. The mind can change. When the mind changes from one state to another state, it is called as vikara, change. And then therefore, we bring in the concept of perishability of the world. The experiencer, pure, what that experiencer, we call it as Sat, is also called as Brahman. So that Brahman is something which is beyond all perishable things, and that is why it is called as Aksharam. It's a very, very popular word. It is used in Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter. It is used in 13th chapter. It is used in Bhagavad Gita. It is used in all the Upanishads. One of the best words to meditate is Aksharam. Akshara means it never dies. When you meditate on Aksharam Brahma, by nature as na sharati, it never perishes, it never decays, then what happens? You are able to claim that you are immortal. See, many a times we have thought about the death of the body, birth of the body. How many times have we ever thought in our mind that I am imperishable? Only when you come to Vedanta, then you say, oh, Vedanta, Veda introduced me to something which is always there, which is called as Sat. So the more I think of Sat as without any modification, the more I can claim myself as that pure Sat. Why there is no negation possible? Because in the spiritual realm, which the Veda reveals, there is no second thing in the world. There is only one Advaitam, non-dual principle. Ekam eva advitiya. Chandogya Upanishad. So duality is not in the material, duality is only there in the material world. You see, material world means Prakriti. Subjective, the realm of waking or dream, where you see duality, where you experience duality. I am the subject and I experience the object. That is what is called as duality. But there is another state which is called as Turiya Avastha, in which there is no subject, no object. I alone am as the pure Sat. There are three realms of our experiences. What we usually experience in our waking state is called as Vyavaharikam, the level of transactions. The second thing which we experience is called as Pratibhasikam. Pratibhasikam is our dream world. In the waking state itself, suppose your mind is thinking or projecting something, a snake on a rope, that is also called as Pratibhasikam. Mirage water, Pratibhasikam. It is projection of the mind. So anything which is projected by the mind is called as Pratibhasikam. Anywhere where our senses are operating, that is called as Vyavaharik. Is there a state where there is mind is not working, is not projecting? Is there a state where the sense organs are closed and they are not working, but I exist? That is what is called as Paramarthikam. Ultimate reality. Transactional reality, which can be either waking or dream, and ultimate reality, which is Paramarthika Satyam. All what Vedanta wants us to realize is the highest reality. I alone am as the pure consciousness. Like I said, the objective is to become happy, not as a relative sense, but to own that happiness as my real Swarupa. And that realm, Paramarthikam, is the substratum, Adhishthana. For example, rope is the Adhishtanam, is the substratum for the rope snake. Waker is the Adhishtanam for the dream world. Similarly, Atma is the Adhishtanam for the waking world. Then another point we should remember is these are all different points connected with the pure existence. Whatever we are experiencing in the objective world can never affect the Atma. That is why this Veda always says you are spotless, you are blemishless, you can never be affected by anything because you happen to be the cause. Everything else is the product. So Adhyastha, Adhyasa, the superimposed, it cannot cause any cessation of the Adhisthana. That means the waking cannot stop consciousness by to become non-existence. It cannot, because it is different realm. Then we come to this description between what is Atma and what is the Anatma. Here are 3-4 points. Atma is the Adhishtanam. Anatma, which is Pratirodhi, is called as Adhyastam or superimposed. And always remember that whatever is superimposed is Jadam, is inert. And what is the Adhishtanam is the Jnana Sarupam. This is the very important point. It is the nature of awareness. See, awareness is something which is non-changing. At birth also, I was aware. 5 years, I was aware. 10 years, I was aware. I had the 3 states all along in my life. But in all the states, I was always there. What is that I which was not changing? And that is what is called as Sat. Non-changing I is Sat. Changing I is the mind predominantly. Jagat is basically three sharirams which exist three properties. Jayate, gacchati, tishtati. Born, stays, and gone. That is what is called as the world. If somebody asks you, can you describe what the world is? Three words. It is born, it remains, and then it is gone. Yesterday was born, today it is gone. Today is born, tomorrow it's gone. This is what is called as the world. Who am I? I am the experiencer of this world. I am not the changing nature. Right from, it is not only this birth, I was always conscious. Once you are attached to consciousness, pure existence, then from that point of view, you can say that the world is of a lower order of reality. Consciousness is the knower principle, and the world is inert principle, prapancha. Bada of Sakshi, Bada means what? Negation. This is what I was telling you earlier also. There is nobody who can say, I can negate myself and I can still exist. You can never say that. Because in order to say I don't exist, you need another Atma. You need another Atma to say that this one Atma which is together with this body is not there. So anyway, what it means is that negation is not possible for the pure existence. Sakshi experiences in the waking state appearances of all the objects. In the sleep state, Sakshi experiences abhava, disappearance. So appearance and disappearance has got nothing to do with the Sakshi. The light which is illumining the waking, the light which is illumining the sleep state, that light is always there. Can you come to that Satyam Jnanam Anantam now? See, all these verses, if you go through the line of thinking of the author, you will be able to understand the nature of awareness. So in summary, what we can say is, Sat is Bada Rahitam. It can never be negated. Because to negate Sat, you need another negator, which is not there. Sat is always the Adhishtanam, and the world is always superimposed. The superimposed world is called as Vyavaharika Satyam, transactional reality, and the consciousness existence principle is called as absolute reality, Paramarthika Satyam. I've already explained to you more or less this particular slide, so I'm not going to go through this. In Samadhi, what happens? In Samadhi, I remain as the pure self. There is no ignorance. It is Turiya Avastha. So Vedantic Samadhi means what? I inquire into my nature and keep the mind active, not make it passive. See, mind, if you keep it passive, it goes to sleep. A very active mind is a Rajasic mind. But mind dwelling on the nature of the self is Sattvic mind. And it is It is a mind which is extremely subtle. And that is what Vidyaranya says is called as Vedantic meditation, which is what we do in our meditation sessions. And what happens during this? Your ignorance goes away. Ignorance means what? Ignorance about the self, who I am. So a state in which I am there, but there is no perception of the body or mind or the world, that state is my real nature. Okay, so that is what is this particular verse. These are all revision papers which I have put in the notes. I've already discussed all this, so I'm not going to. This is just for you to help to revise whatever I have said in these verses, and then also in my beginning of the talk, what I said. All this is all pure revision. And with this now, after this, we will go to the next verse, which is the 30th verse. Let's see how this verse goes.
अपनीतेषु मूर्तेषु ह्यमूर्तं शिष्यते वियत् शक्येषु बाधितेष्वन्ते शिष्यते यत्तदेव तत्.
This is an extension of the nature of Sat. In this, Sat is said to be imperishable. And he gives, Vidyaranya gives the example of space. He says that all the forms, all the objects in the world, they all exist in what? They exist in space. And suppose all the objects are destroyed, what remains? Objects are gone. Name and form is gone. When the name objects are gone, then you are not even aware of the space. Because only when objects are there, you are aware of the space. Because space is something which accommodates everything. So Vidyaranya says that when the objects are gone, what remains is the imperishable Brahman. That is what is the essence of this verse. It is, see, once you have understood the 29th verse, all the 6-7 verses, they become fairly easy. Murtheshu apaniteshu. Objects of form, murtha means form. Structure and parts. See, a body has parts, but space is amurtam. It is objectless. It doesn't have any form. So when we say nothing is there, what we mean to say is nothing except the space is there. Space is forgotten because it is amurtam. I don't see anybody sitting in the chair. So I say there is nobody. Nobody is sitting in the chair. That means what? The space is there, but the person is not. Shakyeshu sadeshu badeshu. That which can be removed, like the body, that is name and form. But what is not, which cannot be removed, is the space. Similarly, the consciousness, the sakshi. Whatever you ante sishyate, whatever can be forgotten is dropped. That means the body, mind, world can be dropped. When you close your eyes, what happens? This is what really happens. And you lose sight of the world, you lose consciousness of the world, but you are there. Vrihadanika Upanishad also says that in that state you don't know anything because there is nothing else to know in that state. It alone is. See, this is what is the beauty of Vedanta. It says that there is something in the world, you call it God. He alone is there. And what is this world? World is nothing else, but it is the same God, pure consciousness appearing in this form with name and form. That's all. Don't try to segregate the two, the world and consciousness. It is the same. That is why it is called as non-dual. Conscious of knowing principle, that is what we should retain. I am conscious. That I am conscious is never changing. Satyam is not a thing, but it is the presence. It is the isness. Presence is always present. And we have to abide in that presence. Always be in the present, be in the present, be in the present. Now, now, now. Eckhart Tolle, he keeps on saying. Why is that? Because when you are in the present and you're not in the past, brooding over the past or thinking, having anxiety about the future, then you are already in the present. You remove the other two, remove the thoughts of the past, remove the anxiety of the future. That's all. Just remove these two things. You will be in the present moment all the time. Holding on to that present, that is what is called as imperishable consciousness or existence principle. And that is what is described as not this, not this. In the fourth chapter, Swayam Jyoti Brahmana, Vrihadanika Upanishad repeats this neti neti. Remove everything else from the world of experiences. What remains is imperishable Aksharam Brahma. The 31st verse, I will just introduce this and maybe we continue it next week or it is, okay, let me finish the 31st verse.
सर्वबाधेन किञ्चित् चेत् सर्वबाधेन किञ्चित् चेत् यन्न किञ्चित् तदेव तत् यन्न किञ्चित् तदेव तत् भाषा एवात्र विद्यन्ते भाषा एवात्र विद्यन्ते निर्बाधं तावदस्ति निर्बाधं तावदस्ति.
This is the explanation of neti neti. Neti neti means what? Nothing is there. Nothing is there means what? I am there. So if the opponent says that there is nothing, I see only blankness, what Shankaracharya, what Vidyaranya say, that blankness, what you are saying as nothing is the self. Because there is a consciousness which is observing the nothingness. Don't forget the existence, pure existence principle. That is what is the meaning of this verse. Purva Pakshi says, nothing remains after you remove the name and form. After you remove the 5 koshas, the Purva Pakshi says, there is nothing in the world. What Vedantin says is, what you are describing as nothing is the self. The witness remains after the destruction of the body. That means, will you ever say that when the body is gone, I am there, I am gone? If you believe what the Veda is saying, you will never say, I don't perish. If you should say, I never perish as consciousness, chaitanyam, pure existence. Hold on to this principle and then you will be fearless throughout your life. That is the essence and the beauty of this verse. Consciousness is a witness of the absence of name and form. It is a witness of the presence of name and form. Sarva bhavena kinchit chet. When body, senses, and prana, thoughts, and everything is negated, na kinchit, nothing is there. No. Tadeva tat. That is what is called as Satya. It is only a change of language. Bhasha eva vidyante. You are saying nothing, I am saying Satya. It is only the words, language. I say Satyam Jnanam Anantam remains as a substratum, and it is, you are saying nothing remains. It is only the language difference, but it is not the difference in the existence of the ultimate reality. Nirbandham tavat asti. Nirbandham tavat asti means what? What can be negated is gone. But what cannot be negated always remains. Self remains after all the negations of the world. So this is a very powerful method which we can use in our meditation. When you negate everything and you come to the blankness or the pure existence, you should be able to claim that as the Sat principle. So we have finished 3 verses today, all talking about 29, 30, 31. All of the 3 verses, we have 4 more verses to go for Sat, which we will take it up next week. Okay. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, there's a question here, Vibhuti, to everybody. Okay, the question is, Turiya Avastha is related to only Samadhi state, or it can be realized without the attainment of Samadhi state. Okay. See, the Samadhi means, Samadhi is a word which is used by yoga. You see, the yoga philosophy uses the word Samadhi. It only means quietude of mind. It does not mean Turiya Avastha. Turiya Avastha is a word which is used in Mandukya Upanishad. Turiya Avastha means Sakshi. Sakshi is aware of the Samadhi state of the mind. You should be very, very clear in this. Samadhi refers to the mind when it has no thoughts. Samadhi. Dhi means intellect. Sama means it is in equilibrium. The mind without thoughts is stable. That's all. That is what is Samadhi. Vedanta does not give too much importance to this state. Vedanta says Samadhi is good, it's okay. It is a stepping stone, but it is not the ultimate Turiya. Turiyam is different. Turiyam means I am Turiyam. I am the Sakshi. See, if you want to know Turiyam, 7th mantra of Mandukya Upanishad, just understand the word meaning. Go through Nanta Prajnam, Nabahish Prajnam, Nobhaya Prajnam, Sakshi, Advaitam, Shantam, Shivam. These words you just take and just understand the meaning. That is what is called as Turiya. In that mantra, it doesn't say samadhi. The word samadhi doesn't come there at all. So Turiyam is the pure awareness in which there is no mind, in which the mind, the concept of the mind itself is not there. Amanaha. If you want to know what is Turiyam, amanaha, ashariraha. There is no body, there is no jagat, there is no world. But who is there? What is there? Turiyam alone is there. Kaivalyam. So these are all the steps in understanding the real nature. Very good question. Keep thinking along these lines. You will get back to your Swarupa. Okay. Any other question? Okay, there is yeah, Saru, go ahead. One second, Shanmugam is mute. Now you can unmute. Yeah.
Thank you, Hari Om.
Yeah.
I have two questions. I don't know if they're related. I'll go with the first one. When you were doing the revision and you were talking about the 17th verse, where you say that I am the consciousness by which the whole world is known.
Yes.
So my question is, are there levels of consciousness? Because there's certain ways in which I see the world. Or is there a state of consciousness? Because some days I see the world in a certain way, or a certain world appears in front of me.
Yes.
At certain times I see a different world appearing in front of me.
Yeah.
So when I say I am the consciousness by which the whole world is known, there's a so I'm saying there's a certain distortion also which I experience in my consciousness.
No. See, you don't get confused between distortion in the mind and a pure consciousness. Okay. Distortions are there in the mind. When I say that I am the Sakshi is the knower, always the knower, it is never the known. In the 17th mantra, that's what you're referring, right? In the 17th mantra of chapter 3, what it says is, how can that by which the whole universe is known? Sakshi, or the pure consciousness, is the knower of all the minds. Your mind, my mind, Shama's mind. Wherever a mind is there, the Sakshi is the knower of the mind.
So it's the knower of the mind, it's not the knower of the world which is appearing in front of us.
Exactly, that's correct. The world is known by the mind, not by the Sakshi directly.
The world is known by the mind.
Yes. But the mind is known by it. Known means what? It is illumined. The electricity behind the bulb is this Sakshi. The power by which the mind works,
right,
is this Sakshi. That's all.
So that Sakshi is different from the mind Sakshi which is experiencing the truth. It is different.
Absolutely, yes, you're right. Many people, they don't understand this difference between the knower of the mind and the knower of the world. The knower of the world is called as Pramata.
But my question is then, if I can abide in the Sakshi, then I will not experience this movement in the world. When yes. But otherwise, like, for example, for the past 2 days, I'm experiencing a lot of anxiety. That's coming from my
mind, not from Sakshi. It is only in the mind the anxiety comes.
Yeah.
Anxiety is only thoughts bubbling in your mind, that's all. And you're not aware of it. When you're not aware of it, you become the Pramata. When you become aware of it, you are the Sakshi.
Okay.
And this happens to us because of the law of Prarabdha. You see, the law of Prarabdha says that you are supposed to be like this for those 2 days. That's all.
Okay.
So it is not
fight it and anything.
Yeah, it is the nature of the mind. That's all. Take it as it is the nature of the mind to be like this. For the mind is a part of the world. This world is a product of Maya. Maya means sattva, rajas, and tamas.
So expect, sorry, it's very sorry, but to expect the mind to be calm all the time is not something which I should expect.
No, never expect that. That itself causes anxiety. When you are trying to expect a very calm mind, like, I am Sakshi, I should have a very pure mind, and it is not possible.
That's what exactly.
You're making a mistake. Don't try to expect a calm mind and live the life. It's not possible.
Thank you.
Drop it. Just drop it. Say that mind is something is Maya. It is something, it is just happening.
Right. And it will happen. And
it will happen. For sure it will happen. Saru has to experience this. That's it.
To observe that, witness that.
Witness, that's all. What you just tell yourself, let me stand one step behind the mind. Small step. And then be there. That's all.
Well, I think what I'm struggling to change this uncalmness into calmness. Which is
yes. See, calmness and uncalmness is an effect of prarabdha karma, which produces thoughts in your mind. The manufacturer of thoughts in your mind is the prarabdha karma, the sanchita karma, which is lying like a volcano. It is lying there. For each one of us, it is. See, for each one of us, that volcano is there. Everybody, you ask Bama, she will tell you, I have got my volcano is the worst. You ask Shama, she will tell you, oh, my mind, you don't know. Even God doesn't think that, he will ever know my mind. So don't worry. Everybody's mind is a volcano. It can never be held. Just say, let things happen. I will see the world. You see, based on that, the world also changes. World changes because your thoughts are changing. But the sakshi behind the thoughts is me. Again and again, repeat that mantra. I am the pure sakshi. I am the you see, the best example they say is like the sun. Sun is always illumining good and bad in the world. If there's a good procession going on, it will illumine the good procession. If there's a bad procession for some other cause, life or death, it will illumine everything. So the world is neither good or bad. Okay, this is what in the 4th chapter, I'm just explaining to you because asking the question. The 4th chapter of Panchadasi explains to me what is Ishvara Srishti and what is Jiva Srishti. Very important topic in Vedanta, 4th chapter. See, what happens is, in that chapter, Vidyaranya says that the whole world is created by God. Okay? Now, that is what is called as Ishvara Srishti. The trees, the people, everybody's, for me, it's all the whole world. Whatever I'm experiencing is the Ishvara Srishti. How does it become a Jiva Srishti? It becomes a Jiva Srishti only when my mind is either liking an object or disliking an object, or it remains neutral. Object remaining the same, a diamond necklace is there. Right. One lady will run after the diamond necklace. She's been dreaming about the diamond necklace, for 30 years, and suddenly it is there right in front of. So that is one mind. Another mind is there, sannyasi mind. What is this? Diamond, it is coal in another form. So he has a disgust. So he is neutral to it. That is sannyasi mind. There is another mind which is an angry mind. That diamond necklace that lady wore, she had the money. I don't have the money, and I am becoming angry because I don't have the diamond necklace. She has the diamond necklace. One lady is after it, she's thoroughly enjoying it because she got that.
Yes.
Another lady, she didn't get that because she doesn't have the money to buy it. And there is a sannyasi who says, what is this diamond? So what makes the diamond different? Diamond is Ishvara Srishti. Same thing applied to all your likes and dislikes in the world. So what causes bondage is Jiva Srishti, my attachment, my mind, if it goes after something, is a cause of joy or sorrow. So this is the, it's a very beautiful subject, Vidyaranya exposes in the fourth chapter. We'll have a chance to go through it.
Yes.
So just a point for you to ponder.
Yes, yes. An additional question to what you're saying is...
yeah, just a minute, just a minute.
Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, go ahead, Saru.
Is there, is there any way to overcome or to subdue or appease the prarabdha karma and the sanchit karma?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. You see, there are a lot of in the Shastra they talk about a lot of prashchita karma. Prashchita karma means, if you want to reduce the impact of your prarabdha karma, just reduce the impact. You see, then they suggest ways of going to a temple, just doing some puja, take a vow that, okay, I will visit Lakshmi Narayan temple, or I will go to this temple. I will just go at least visit the temple for the next 8 weeks. These are small things which you can do. Or you say, I will just chant a few verses for 30 minutes every day.
Okay.
These are all small things which will help you to reduce the impact of prarabdha karma.
Okay.
But the ultimate medicine for prarabdha karma is Atma Jnana only. Ultimate medicine is only Atma Jnana. It will cure you 100%.
Right.
Okay, so see, people come to Vedanta because they have realized that they are not able to control the mind. Many people come to Vedanta because they are affected very deeply by the mind. And they don't know what to do. You see, they become helpless. And they try to find out, is there any answer to this mind? And Vedanta has all the answers to the mind, because it is the only knowledge or a text which is available to reveal the mind and also to reject the mind as not self. So the best answer is, the best medicine is, keep learning the scriptures.
Right.
Every day, at least 30 minutes, you read the scriptures.
Read or listen?
Read or listen. Listening is better than reading. Because listening, you get a lot of doubts which come, and in the process of listening, you will find that, that doubt I had is gone.
Right.
Whereas when you read, the possibility of that doubt going off is not so high.
Right.
Okay, so Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshaye. Yeah, you're right, absolutely right, Vibhuti, you're absolutely right. This is from Amrita Bandhu Upanishad. Mind is the cause of bondage, mind is the cause of liberation. That fourth chapter is nothing but this verse which he is quoting. Okay.
I have one more question. Can I just close it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is when you were talking about whatever we experience in the objective world, does not affect the Atma. The Atma remains spotless.
Correct.
Yeah. So I get that. What I'm saying is this kind, if this could also at one level, it can give rise to a lot of sense of freedom. Okay, because I know it's spotless. That freedom can also be very misutilized. And I'm wondering, it can give rise to a crazy society where, you know.
No. You see, you're again jumping from Atma level to the mind level.
Okay.
See, the moment you reach Atma level, Atma is free, means by nature it is free.
Ah.
It is a swarupam. You see, it is by nature, it is without any thoughts, without any medium.
Okay. No thoughts.
Yeah, the thought can be good or bad. It can be used free will and all that is at a thought level, not at the Swarupa level.
Okay.
So when I say that,
there's no action at the Atma level, nothing, no action,
yes,
no doing.
absolutely no action. That is why it is called as Paramarthikam.
Right. So
You're clear, right?
all things are right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Shama, go ahead.
Hari Om, Shikudi, just a little comment taken from Saru's this thing. And I only want to say, reaffirm what Shekhar has been saying for this thing. And you have to just believe me, since the time I've been attending Shekhar classes, and over a period of time, I absolutely buy into it. Has taken me quite some time to say, buy into Shekhar affirmation. Atma Jnanam is the only medicine. That's the only cure. I just want to reaffirm that. And it has taken me several months, I think almost a year, to come to this understanding. So I just want you to please keep believing in what he's saying, that it is the real fix. What we generally tend to look for is, first aid type of treatments, let's do this fix. And there isn't really a fix, I mean, it's almost like if you have a patient of pneumonia, should you give paracetamol to just bring the temperatures down? You can do some curative symptomatic treatment. Or once you've diagnosed you've got pneumonia, you actually go for the straight antibiotic, which will actually kill the germs. So by using the same analogy, I will buy into Shekharji's, there is no shortcut, it's only Atma Jnanam. I absolutely 100% I'm affirming to that. And you have to just believe me, because I've been attending his class for last 1 year and I'm totally sold out onto it. So that's one thing to say.
Thank you. Yeah. And
the only other thing which I wanted to,
a lot of knots for me. Yeah.
No, but you just have to believe it, that it just will go. It has to go. The other thing which I wanted to use an analogy was how the mind, you were referring, and I have been really troubled with it. How come one day your mind is so free flowing into, you can just feel so much at peace and joy with the world and within yourself. So outside and inside, you're feeling perfectly fine. On other days, you're consciously trying to do it and it's not working. Yeah, which is what you were referring to. And that really is the temporary thing about acceptance and, just really prarabdha, which is mentioned. And I feel the mind is like, Shekharji, please correct me. Mind to me feels like the dimmer switch. You have the dimmer switch for the light. So although the electric power current through the same bulb, that is the same body-mind instrument, it remains the same, but how come the light, some days it is less, some days it is less? It feels, what has happened to the Atma Jnanam on another day where I am not feeling fine? I feel mind is the dimmer switch, so sometimes we put the dimmer switch on a low level, sometimes we feel the dimmer switch to a high level. So that's really why I think the different days and different times we feel like that. So that's just an analogy and it may help. And the last comment which I just wanted to make was about, this is again Shekharji's the thing about how I think Shekhar, please correct me. This is from Swami Paramarthananda Ji's, where he talks about in his chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, or the Dhyana chapter, Dhyana Yoga chapter, where he talks about there is a Upasana Dhyana. So there is a certain part of things which we need to do, which is to prepare the mind into the right shape. So almost every day, we just cannot expect our minds when we are awake to quickly slip on into dhyanam or whatever. It will not do it. There is a certain preparation, whether we do the mantra dhyanam or we listen to bhajans or do a good reading, whatever it is required. There is a bit of a ritualistic thing until we reach a stage where, regardless of what, the moment I sit down for my dhyanam, the mind is just quickly, it is so tuned. With our minds, really, I think there's so much of work. And then the other part, which he says in the Dhyana chapter, is the Nididhyasanam. So then the first part, and then the second part, where the mind will then go happy to be into the Dhyanam. Am I right, Shekharji?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. How
So,
the mind, you're right.
And today, anyway, in your today's class, you have completely said that self alone is that exists, self alone is the witness, all else is only attributes.
Correct.
Yes, all the thoughts, the attributes that comes in time and dissolves in time, indeed is the vritti gnanam, which we are constantly flooding our wakeful mind with. Also in the dream. Sakshi sees indeed the witness of the world, much as the world disappears in sleep, not existent after death. Death belongs to the Sthula Sharira, gross body. And so you've actually very beautifully described that. I alone in my chaitanyam see the manifoldness, experience further into my anubhava at the mind and intellect level, churning it through my memory lane. So this is a very peculiar thing which I realized. Not only that you have the external world, which your mind has suggested, you further on in our inner world, through the mind and the intellect, you go through your memory lane, through the samskaras, churn it further so that it goes into, and which is one of my individual real difficulties. You go through the moral intellectual sieve, it's almost like as if you have a sieve inside your mind. And actually, so all of the external world impressions, all of your prarabdha, everything is being put into it, and you're shaking that sieve, and through that there is a certain thoughts which are emerging on an everyday basis, and that then further takes another hue, another color, and you feel, oh, this is what is really meaningful life, this is what is a value life. And really, as far as the satyam is concerned, it is far away from all of those things, isn't it, Shekharji?
Yeah.
It is far away from even
absolutely.
That
These are all the
vritti
jnanam. Just to say it's all vritti jnanam, I am Swarupa jnanam.
Yeah, and we have only given it a much higher state, like living an idealistic life or a meaningful life. Correct. And a life of values. It keeps hitting me because I've lived in that for so many years. It keeps, coming up over and over again.
Yeah, correct.
But if I tell myself that I am the pure self, pure consciousness, and even if a little time that I spend in that, it seems to take away all those obstacles. Is that right? Yeah, during that process, something is happening which is taking away these obstacles of the mind. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Shama. Very good summary of what you have understood from today's talk. Anybody else has a question?
Yeah, Mr. Shekhar.
Yeah, Jacqueline, tell me.
One question. I'm not sure if I heard it wrongly or correctly. Is the what do you call that? The knower of the world and the knower of the mind are different?
Yes, knower of the world is the mind. Knower of the mind is the witness.
Oh, again, knower of the world is the mind. Knower of
Yes.
the mind is the witness. So,
Correct. No, I'll give you an example. Whenever you are in the waking state, the mind is active. That means the mind is 100% knowing the world. That is waking state.
yeah.
When you are in the sleep state, your mind is sleeping, but you are awake. That you which is awake is the witness.
But then, so you're saying that the mind is the mind. I mean, to me, if I'm sleeping, my mind shouldn't be existing because I'm the witness of my whole body and my whole whatever. And
yeah, when you say witness, here you are not witnessing the mind, but you are what is happening is you are witnessing your own self, which is the pure consciousness. See, this is where the Mandukya Upanishad comes and asks you to wake up in your sleep state.
Yeah.
Wake up, come on, wake up from your sleep state. You have been sleeping for millions of births.
Yes.
Now you wake up and say, come on, who is that Jacqueline which is the one which is existing? You see? It is not aware of the world, but it is existing. That is what is called as the witness. That is what is called as the Turiyam. And it is only knowledge from the scriptures, yeah? It is not that you will actually go to sleep state and then you will wake up one day and say that, no, I am the Atma. It will never happen.
Yeah.
It is only in the waking state you make use of the scripture. Mandukya Upanishad, the seventh mantra, the fifth and sixth mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad is the proof. And like you say, today I saw sunrise in the morning with my eyes. Similarly, you should say the Mandukya Upanishad, the fifth mantra and the sixth mantra tells me in the sleep state, there is a witness. That witness is my real nature. That witness was never born. It will never die. And having accepted that 100%, not 99%, 100%, then you say, I am immortal Jacqueline. Jacqueline is only a name for the body which is seen in the waking state. It is not the real Jacqueline. The real Jacqueline is the pure consciousness, pure existence in which there is no Jacqueline name, but the Atma is there.
Yes, I'm almost there, but I'm almost there. There's no but. What I want to ask is because I think somebody was asking just now, but then there was a statement, I'm not sure from you or from her, there was a statement and somehow I caught those two statements. The knower of the mind is different from the knower of the world. That's what I want a clarification on that.
Yeah. So are you clear of the knower of the world now?
So to me, because I am not the body, I am not the mind, I'm the Turiyam. Why I know I'm a Turiyam? Because of the scripture that I have been studying and from you, I mean from sharing, you know.
Yeah.
That is what I am there, that I believe I am that. If not, then every day, every night I wake up, I don't know why I wake up, I don't know why I go to sleep. So I concluded that there is some superpower there to wake me up, to get me to go to sleep, to whatever.
Yes.
But then I just want a clarification that because if the mind itself, to me, the mind and the world, okay. So yes, so if I understood that two statements that you were saying, the mind is different. The knower, this is the important thing for me. The knower of the mind is different from the knower of the world. So that means the world itself. So yes, so the world is the outer. If let's say I'm drawing a circle, the world is outside, the mind is inside, and the consciousness is the center. Am I right to say that?
Consciousness is the center in which the mind is coming and going.
Yes. But then the world, the no, I'm just
The world, for the world, mind is the center.
Okay, that says something. Okay, so it's like the consciousness is number one, the zero. The mind is one, and the world is two. Right?
Exactly. Now you got it.
Okay, then I will no. Not say no. I want to make a very distinct way of thinking, knowing it right now, because yes, I totally concur. Right now, I use the word concur that I am that consciousness that that I don't even know why I was born in this world, but I have to go through the process as a human being.
That is the law of karma. That is the law of the cosmic law of the mind and the body. That's all.
So it's because I am in this particular scripture that with you for that long, I actually experience. This is the experience that I have to go through, and I also concur that it happened. You know,
Good. Good. What you're saying is what the scripture is saying is an experience for you. That's what you're trying to say.
Yes, but it happened in a way that it also that deep down in myself, if something bad, whatever, so disturbing things coming into my mind, I will just say that kind of om, or you know, I am that, and it will just be erased, and it's powerful.
Yes. Okay, so that's good. I mean, you're learning some things, and these things you keep. I'm glad that you're thinking about it and you're contemplating and you're asking questions in the class, outside the class, and this shows that your mind has started churning the thoughts of the scriptures. You know.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Agree as a human being.
Very good.
Consciousness,
okay.
It just illuminates. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Jacqueline. Thank you.
Appreciate. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yes. Somebody else had a question? Yeah, Chandra, tell me.
You see, we as we want to know what is our real nature, we can take the stand as witness, correct?
Yes.
Then as a witness, you only observe whatever things comes in the mind. In mind, the thoughts, whatever it is, and be a witness, but don't anticipate, don't get involved in whatever your thoughts and sometimes it can be very disturbing, but just observe.
Yes.
So in that way, you are able to know where you stand, which is the strongest stand. The witness as a witness, to watch what your thoughts are.
Correct. You see, this what you're saying, Chandra, is true. But you know, when people have not meditated on this for a long time, they find it difficult. But you have done it for almost 20 years. You have been listening to Vedanta for 30 years. So for you, it's very easy to say this is my mind and this is not me. That's it. Because now you are, you are at a slightly different level than many people in the class.
Yeah, I agree. But it's only thing that you have to be very focused.
Yes, it will come. See, others will also learn as they keep attempting to say, I am Sakshi, I am Sakshi, I am the witness, I am the witness. This is a abhyasa. This is a practice. This is what is called as dhyanam. You know, Shama talked about this being a witness. It is not one time. You will have to do it regularly, daily.
Yeah.
And then what happens is, whenever a wrong thought comes in, immediately you become aware and you know how to deal with it.
Right.
You see, you become an expert dancer, expert musician, an expert, gardenist or expert painter, you also become an expert sakshi. Okay? All right, good, Chandra. Anything else?
Thank you, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
just want to clear, clarify this.
Very good. Okay, so we'll stop here. We'll continue next week. These are very beautiful verses, and each verse is taking us deeper and deeper, because these are the verses, whenever you get in the scriptures, verses talking about consciousness, existence, or limitlessness, you should spend more time, because that way, if you think in those lines, your mind will become sharper and your mind will go into very big depths. You know, your mind will start fathoming inside you the Atma principle. You know, these are the mantra, these are the verses, and that's the beauty of this chapter 3. It's a very clean chapter. 5 koshas, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, and Maya. Finished. Okay. Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Good night.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Good night.
Good night. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Good night.
Good night. Hari Om.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Interesting, huh? Good chapters, yeah.
Very
The whole
nice.
Very, very, very nice, actually. Like,
Very deep. Did you attend the first part of my talk today?
yeah, just only 5 minutes. I think I might have missed 5 to 7
Okay.
minutes.
Okay. When I was giving from 13th verse to the 28th verse, I gave a summary.
Hey, Mr. Shekhar, I have another question.
Yeah, Jacqueline, tell me.
Wait, I just went into the kitchen and then it came to me. Just now we were saying that the consciousness is 0, the mind is 1, the world is 2, right? I thought if I'm saying that I'm not the mind, I'm not the mind, I'm not the world, then the mind and the world is equal.
Yes, it is equal, because only through the mind you see the world, no?
Yeah, so then
Whenever the world is there, mind is there. Therefore, mind is equal to world. That is what we are saying.
so what I'm saying that if like that, just now my analogy of 0, 1, 2. So I should have 0, 1, 0, 0 is consciousness, 1 is equal to world, plus 1 is equal to mind. No?
Yes.
Is that a correct way? Or
Yeah. See, don't segregate world and mind as two separate things. Both are anatma, both are not atma. That's all.
Yeah. So that means the knower itself is also equal for those two, right?
Yes, that's correct. Ultimately, you have only one knower, and everything else is known. Finished.
Yeah. That's what it's just sometimes it maybe need to be equal instead of 0, 1, 2. In terms of the analogy, it should be 0, 1, and 1 is equal to world, and 1 is also equal to mind.
Correct. You're right. Ultimately, that is where you come into binary format and not a triangular format. You know, the binary format is I and the world. That's all. World includes mind. It includes the body. It includes all the whatever the sense objects are there. Everything is that.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
You experience the mind, you experience the world. So both are objects only.
Correct.
Simple.
Yeah, that's why just now I was a bit not a bit, like I want a clarification, because I thought it's a difference between the knower of the mind and the knower of the world is different. That's what I want a clarification. But for now, the knower is equal to the big bracket mind plus world plus, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay. Appreciate.
Only for the explanation for the Satya, it has been put like, otherwise you just consider like both you are experiencing, whether it's a mind, whether it is a world.
No, Mr. Rao, just now,
Yes.
what was the first statement you say?
No, what I'm saying is anything you are experiencing is an object. So mind also you experience, isn't it? Mind is nothing but thoughts.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah.
world also you are experiencing. So once you wake up in the morning, the whole waking time you are experiencing this world. So that's also an object.
Yes. Okay. I got what Mr. Shekhar and you give me a good deep explanation. Okay, appreciate. Have a good Thursday is coming. No,
Okay.
happy now. No happy Thursday. Happy now, always now.
Okay, Jacqueline.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Venkatesh. Good night.
Yeah. Thanks, Sekhaji. We will
Thank you.
discuss separately.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
It's
Thank you.
really very, very interesting actually.
Yes.
Very beautifully chapters.
Very well constructed, and you see,
Very
16.
well constructed. The explanation of the whole chapter, the way he has analyzed,
Yes.
I think very, very amazing actually.
See, when we do Taittiriya Upanishad, we don't get this depth, you know.
We didn't get through. Yeah, that's what I see. Taittiriya Upanishad, when we somehow we have gone through, but not to this level of dissection actually.
Yes.
Yeah, he made it more easier and more with more clarity.
Right.
The Sat and Chit, how they are interrelated and one only, that is very beautiful.
Yes.
It's a very simply explained actually. I mean, existence is not there without Chit actually, and Chit, if one who doesn't realize, then where is that that existence?
Correct.
A very high level of explanation actually. Very beautifully clarified.
Okay, Venkatesh.
Hari
Good
Om.
night.
Yeah, thanks.
Hari Om.
a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jai Guru.